Hello, everyone. We are going to get started in just a minute here. I want to give others an opportunity to join in. We're going to be talking about codependency. We're talking about codependency. Are you codependent? So, this is a conversation we're going to have today. So, again, I'll get started in a second, just waiting for some more folks to join in. As always, if you're here, let me know you're here. You can like, you can comment, whatever you're comfortable doing. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So, welcome everyone. Happy April. Um, so excited that it's finally spring and that the weather is getting a lot better. So, I want to start this month by doing a bit more. You're going to notice we're going to be doing a bit more self care things this month, as far as topics go, as far as the support groups, and as far as the guest speakers who will be speaking in this group this month as well. As I said before, this group has changed from just a typical meetup where we have virtual support with myself talking to you guys to having other survivors who have completed the Healing Loudly course being on here to assist on support groups, having other clinical professionals coming on giving recommendations and advice, and also having more of these lives, to make sure that we're healing in every way possible. So that was my goal for this group. I wanted to kick it off at the beginning of the year, but better later than never. So, what is codependency? The number one question that I get when I'm speaking with a client is, uh, how do I know that I'm not going to fall for this type of person again? Or what can I do to make sure that I never end up in this relationship again? The thing is, codependency is a way where an individual puts their needs to the side and puts the needs of someone else in front of theirs. You will literally stay in a relationship, hold a relationship together by string and tape to someone who is doing everything in their power to bring you down, to destroy the relationship, very unhealthy, very toxic behavior. But your happiness is not as important as saving the relationship. So, in a codependent relationship, your happiness, your needs, your wants, your desires are secondary. They get taken care of when get taken care of, if they get taken care of. You put everyone else before you. The thing with the codependent personality is it's like a moth to a flame for a narcissist or for an abusive person. They can sense it, they can smell it. And there are little things they'll do in the beginning of the relationship to kind of test you to see how much you'll do for them. They might give you really odd requests or um, very early on, they find themselves in a crisis and they reach out to you for help. So, looking back, you can probably think of a time when that person might have overstepped their boundaries by asking a favor of you too soon. But at the moment, you wanted to show them that you were there for them. You wanted to show them that they could trust you, you had their back, they could rely on you, they can depend on you. And while that in of itself is not a bad trait for a person to have, it's not a healthy trait when it's not being reciprocated. That is the issue with codependency. It is an unbalanced relationship where one person is giving more than the other person is receiving. There's one person who's taking more and the other one who is giving a lot of themselves. That is a codependent relationship. And oftentimes, when you have a codependent personality, you feel like you need that person. Even if the person is not treating you well, there's something about them that attaches you to them, and you feel that even though I'm not being reciprocated, even though I'm not getting the attention I need, I'm not getting the love, the support, the encouragement I need, I still feel like I need your presence. There's something about you that I still need. And a lot of that is because there's this fear of stepping into the unknown and detaching ourselves from this person, because your codependent behavior is not new. It was something that you learned at some point of your life while in survival mode. And you then learn to strengthen that, to use that, to perfect it. And a lot of us, you'll hear people throw around the word empath a lot. I use the word, empathetic person, right? But a lot of times, a lot of codependent personalities will confuse empathy with codependency. I'm just, they're in need, so I have to help. If I would do the same thing for them, and I would want them to do the same thing for me. I'm just treating them the way that I want to be treated. And again, while there's no issue with treating someone well, the issue comes with, do you have a moment to come from work and just rest? Do you have a moment to walk in the door and the kids are not asking you for everything because you can share the labor? Is everything on you? Are you the person who has to solve all of the problems? Did you put yourself in that role, or was that role assigned to you? I speak on my experience often. From childhood, I had the role of the older sibling. So I was always responsible for caring for my younger siblings. I was in that role of being the problem solver, being the fixer. And I took that and I wore it with a badge of honor. It made me feel needed. It made me feel wanted. So when I became an adult and I got into romantic relationships, I found that a lot of the partners I found needed fixing. There was something that they needed that I was saying, okay, I can just love you through this. If I just show you what love looks like, then you'll in return repay me by showing me the same treatment that I've been giving you. But we can't assume that's going to happen. And if you're here and if you're listening in, you're not necessarily going to get that same treatment that you've been giving that person. But because we want to feel wanted, we want to feel needed, we want to feel loved, and that's human nature. You want to feel loved. You want to feel the attention is reciprocated. But how many of you guys listening have been next to a person in a relationship and have felt extremely alone? You're in the same room, you're on the same couch, you're both sitting there, you're watching TV, maybe you're watching the news, but you feel so alone. Yet even if you have brought that up and say, hey, we need more couple time, we need more vacation time, we need something to strengthen our bond, I'm feeling a disconnect, because oftentimes if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you're not getting that emotional connection anyway. And that explains why you can be out with a person, out to dinner, um, out on vacation, and feel like you're the only one in that space. It's because as humans, we have basic needs. We have the need to feel love, to feel affection, right? To be treated well. There are different desires that we have as humans in relationships, and not only romantic. Many of us have codependent relationships with our parents, codependent relationships with a job, right? With a place of employment, with a sibling. It's not always romantic. However, when you have a codependent personality, it is very easy to transfer that into a romantic relationship because it's natural, because it feels safe. So when people ask the question of how do I make sure that I don't end up in this relationship again? How do I make sure I don't end up attracting the same type of person? It starts with really assessing what attracts you to a person who's not even giving you 50% of what you're giving them. What is it about that relationship that makes you feel like I have to work it out no matter how bad it is, no matter how bad I'm being treated? I need to continue to do my part and make this work. And like I said earlier, if you missed the beginning part, a lot of codependent abusive relationships, particularly with an emotionally abusive person, a manipulative person, a narcissistic personality disorder, they started that relationship early, testing you to see what they could get away with, to see how far they can take you. For some, it might be as simple as um, you just came back from the grocery store, you had friends and family over, you're about to make a meal, and man, you notice that you don't have pepper, right? So in front of everyone, this person will say, run to the store real quick, you know? And while that in of itself is not a negative thing to ask someone to do, there was something in you that felt like, well, why are you making me do this? Why are you making, there's something, and no one can tell you what that something is, but there was a moment that you felt in that moment that you were being taken advantage of, and maybe you brush it to the back of your mind because are you really going to argue about who's going to get the pepper, who's going to get the salt? No, you're going to brush it under the rug. And then maybe the next time it's, "Oh, my car broke down. I know I've only known you for 2 months now. Would you mind coming picking me up and then helping me get a mechanic or someone to tow the truck?" Right? And then you do that. Maybe the next time it's, I have a child, I can't pick him up from school. Can you pick my child up from school? You've known him for 3 or 4 months. You understand what I'm saying? So it progresses. And the moment they start to see, oh, this person will pretty much do anything for me, an unhealthy person will take advantage of that. They'll manipulate that and they'll use it to gain your trust, to gain your love while giving you nothing in return. And that's how a narcissistic relationship will blossom. And you look back and you're like, how did I end up here? How did I end up with a person like this who I can't get to talk to me, who gives me the silent treatment? But we still stick around and stay because we want to love them through it, right? Because as a codependent, their needs are greater than our own. It's always been that way, but now you're really, really seeing the difference in how you're being treated versus how you are treating them. And by the time you really start to realize it, I don't want to say it's too late, but you're in pretty deep. And now you have to make a more serious decision. Should I stay or should I go? So the title of this message is, Are You Codependent? I can say I was. I didn't know what it was. I thought I was just more of a fixer, a person who liked to make people happy, a person who liked, order and I had to put on, but I didn't know that my worth was tied directly into how others felt and how others saw me. That's the danger of codependency. Because if this person says to you, yeah, you've been running around all day, you've cleaned the house, you took care of the kids, you did everything. And then your partner comes home, didn't do anything, kicks off his shoes, her shoes, puts them anywhere, and then says, what's for dinner? Right? Not acknowledging anything that you've done that day, not acknowledging all of the work and the stress that you've been going through, because maybe you yourself, you have your own job. It doesn't matter. Why? Because they're so used to you putting their needs before yours. It doesn't even make them feel guilty. An unhealthy person, that is. An unhealthy person feels no guilt. You know why? Because I deserve it. And many of you might have even heard that. You might have said, hey, you don't appreciate what I do. You don't acknowledge what I do. Why don't you help with dinner? Why don't you help every once in a while with chores? And then they'll flip it on you and say, you're just not appreciative. I do things, you just don't notice it. Right? Or the favorite line is, see, I do things and I don't ask for you to critique it. You're throwing it in my face that you do things. I don't throw things in your face. I just do it. That's manipulation. That's textbook manipulation and devaluing your feelings and really making you feel like what you just shared was not important. And for some of us, we'll begin to second guess ourselves. We'll start to think, well, am I being selfish? Am I not putting my needs, am I putting my needs in front of their needs? and it buys you more time in that unhealthy relationship, and so you stay. So this is how codependency works. It's really truly a cycle. It's a cycle of abuse. Um, because as I said, in a healthy relationship, there's always going to be a give and a take. But when you're codependent, you almost fall into the Stockholm syndrome. You have remorse. So even when you get upset and frustrated and you're fed up and you could just pull all of your hair out and you say something and you flip out, later you feel guilty. You feel guilty for feeling how you felt and for expressing that. So you learn to suppress. You learn to suppress, you learn to go with the flow, you learn to rationalize what's happening, you learn to gaslight yourself, and you continue to put your needs in the back at the expense of your happiness, at the expense of your peace, of your well being. So feel free to chime in if this is anything that you've experienced before, if this is something that you're listening in and you're like, no, I definitely have codependent qualities. Feel free to, let me know if this is something that resonates with you because really it's very easy to end up in a manipulative relationship when you don't put yourself first. So, one of the ways to break codependency begins with valuing yourself, honoring your needs. No, I'm tired. I'm not doing this. I'm tired. I'm not going to go above and beyond. I don't feel like it. I've done enough today. Putting your needs first. And I always say boundaries, because that's what they are. Boundaries will always come off as aggressive to people who do not respect them and for people who aren't used to you having them. So expect there to be pushback when you begin to make your boundaries known. When you begin to say, this is a no for me, this is a non negotiable, I'm not going to bend on that, I need this for my well being, and you stick to that. A healthy person is going to respect your boundaries, acknowledge them, and allow you to be yourself. An unhealthy person is going to challenge that. So when I speak to clients, I say to them, if you're not sure if the person you're with is trying to manipulate you or is gaslighting you or being controlling, set a boundary, a simple boundary. It can be don't call me after 6 p.m. You know, it can be don't call me before 8 a.m. An unhealthy person will always break a boundary, always, because that's how they gauge how much control they're going to be able to have over you. So I'm so excited for the month of April. It's all going to be about self-care. It's all going to be solution based. We've discussed if you've been here with me since November, we've discussed a lot of problems, narcissism, we've had supports, what you've dealt with. Now we're focusing on solutions. How do I heal? Now, many of you guys, if you've taken the Healing Loudly course, you've been involved with the very pointed, very um, intense program that I created for self healing. That takes place every week. So if you're interested, let me know. I can sign you up for the course. I lead it, very small group. That is more intense. Now, if you're here in the group, you're not quite ready for that. You're maybe more in your fact finding stage. Then continue to come to these events. Continue to participate. And like I said, I'm adding more people on to the platform this month, particularly, and for the future months to come, so that we can get those of you who are available on weekends, or maybe you're available on evenings, so that I can reach more of you because healing is serious, healing is necessary, and peace is so valuable. It's so valuable. So I'm going to make this video available to everyone after I record. If there's anything that you wanted a bit more clarity on, maybe I didn't touch on, feel free to message me in the Meetup app or send me an email or put a comment in here, and I will respond to that. So hopefully you got something out of this. It was helpful, and you feel like you have more tools to make a change in the better direction to protect your peace. So thank you and have a great day, everyone.